Hello, hello. If anybody is there, go ahead and type in where you're from. Hello, I think I'm live now. If anybody's there, go ahead and type in your name and where you're from, and in a couple minutes, we'll get started. So, what you will need today, we are for our craft, we are sewing fantastic creatures. If you've ever been to Troop Adventure Camp, one of the activities that we do is called sewing silly monsters. So this is kind of a adaptation of that. It's really fun, and it lets you make kind of like a little plushie dude. So what you will need to get started, just kind of try to zoom in over here. So I have some stuffing. I have lots of felt, assorted pins and needles. Don't forget to get a sewing needle, assorted different colored thread. I'm just using sewing floss, I guess. It's kind of same kind of stuff you use to make embroidery thread. That's what it's called. So you can make friendship bracelets with it as well. I've got some scissors. I've got, like I said, pins. If you don't like using pins to hold stuff together, I've got these little clippy things. Yeah, and then a pen and paper so you can draw whatever kind of fun little thing you're drawing or you want to make. So if you are here, just go ahead and type in your name, where you're from, and what kind of fun creature you want to make. So we're going to make, or I'm going to demonstrate how to make an owl. But if that's not what you want to make, that's fine. You have total creative freedom over what kind of creature you want to make. Or you can make up your own kind of creature. So let's see. It looks like we've got as many people as we have, so we're gonna go ahead and get rolling. So my name is Ember. I'm an outdoor program manager, and I direct Troop Adventure Camp. So we're gonna go ahead and, since it's kind of magical week, we are going to make some sort of fun magical creature. So I'm just gonna kind of tilt my screen down for a second so you can see. I am not very good at drawing. But I thought it would be fun to just kind of Google fun things that I could make. Hello, Emma and Crystal from Minnesota. Welcome. So I just thought it would be fun to just kind of Google what kind of patterns there are. So all I did was kind of look up owl patterns, or I also wanted to make like Nessie, Loch Ness monster, so I Googled some of those, and I came up with a whole bunch of patterns. But if you are creative and you already kind of know what you want to make, you can just get a piece of paper and draw some sort of fun monster. So I've already cut out, I don't know if you see, it looks like my computer's going kind of slow, a pattern that I found online right here. And so all you need to do is find some sort of pattern, draw some sort of pattern, and trace it onto some paper, not paper, felt. So for this one, I'm going to do a snowy owl. And all you're going to do is lay out whatever you're going to make. There you go, so you can see. And trace it out and cut it. So you can see I've already done that because I didn't want to make you guys spend a whole bunch of time watching me trace something and cut it out. So I've already done that. So right here, I have my owl. So I have two pieces, and if you guys are interested, I can link you to where I got the pattern I have. It's from Down East Thunder Farm, and they have a whole bunch of cool free felt patterns. So you can go there, or again, if you want to just make your own monster or creature, you can do that. So I have two pieces of the body for our owl, as well as a piece that is gonna be the wing. And so the first thing I need to do is, if you have any, I used permanent markers, so if you have any like extra stuff on it, you can go ahead and trim it off. Mine was blue, so that'll look really good on the white. Okay, so then I'm going to get some thread. When you're using your thread or cutting your thread, you don't want to cut it super, super long. I only do about kind of like my arm to my shoulder typically. Otherwise, you're going to start getting a whole bunch of like twists and stuff in your needle. And actually, I'm going to use a bright color so you can actually see what I'm doing on my white background. So I'm just going to trim this up just a tad bit. And so the first thing I'm going to do is sew my wing onto my little guy. So I'm going to sew him on kind of like that. So I'm going to start from the back and kind of poke in. Move him so he's actually on there. Start from the back and poke on in. I'm trying to show you, so it's going to be a little awkward. And then I'm just going to tie a little knot in the very back so that I don't pull my thread through. Like I said, I'm using embroidery thread. I think I'm using just a full, I didn't divide up the strings, so I've got all 6 or 7 strings or however many strings are in there. And so I'm just going to do a regular running stitch. So this is just kind of the really basic in and out kind of stitch like that. And I'm going to do that all the way around my friend here. Just be careful the first couple times. Your thread might get caught. It does that. You'll get a lot of little knots. The overhand knot is pretty much the knot that ties itself. So just kind of be careful, go slow as you're doing this. I'm obviously, there we go. Gotta kind of get your groove. So I'm just gonna sew kind of all the way around this wing. Bump, 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 bump. And then I will jump ahead in a little bit to a different project that I already have going a little bit farther, so you don't have to watch me sew this whole entire dude. Okay. Okay, so you kind of get what I'm doing here. So see, my lighting is really good. So I'm just gonna sew around this whole wing so that this wing is attached to my owl friend. Okay. So this part with the wing is the front of my owl. I've got my other part. I'm just gonna kind of put him on the back like so. And then just so I'm not like double stitching more than I need to, while I'm still kind of on this back wing, I'm going to start stitching through that just to connect them together. And at this point, there we go. I'm still going to use this running stitch, but you guys could use a different stitch if you wanted to. I like the running stitch because you can kind of see where you've already sewn. And it kind of, if you do it with a different kind of contrasting color, it just makes a bright little extra pattern to whatever you're doing. Okay. So what kind of creatures do you guys plan on sewing? I'm just going to kind of finish this wing part and then we'll jump to the next step, just so you guys kind of can see what's happening here. And like I just check around to make sure you don't get any knots on anything. So this is kind of the simplest way to make like a little plushy creature. You're only using a front and a back, but you can get a little bit more creative if you want to and start adding like an extra piece to it to give it a little bit, make it a little bit more 3D. Okay, so I've kind of got my wing on there. I would go around it just to decorate it, but just using the front side. Otherwise, it will be attached to the back side and you can't add any fluff to it. But just so you guys can kind of see how this whole thing comes together, I'm going to switch to right here. And then I'm just going to keep sewing around just the base of it, or the full body, not the wing. And again, I'm doing it kind of backwards than I would usually be doing it, so I do apologize if it looks kind of weird. I just want you to kind of see what I'm doing. Okay. Hello, cat. Oh, one moment. Okay. So I pretty much gone around my whole body, almost. It's starting to kind of look owlish. I've got my little wing here that when I have time, I'll just go around and kind of finish sewing around. You can also start adding fun stuff to his face. So you can use maybe, 1 second. I've got some bright orange here that I'll use for his eyes. And you can either glue that on or you can sew his eyes on. You can use a bead as well to really hold them in there. You can decorate them using string and stuff that you have, embroidery floss. My circles are not perfectly circular, but it's what is going to happen. I also brought some beads to use on the inside for his eyes. Okay. Okay. I don't know if I can do this facing the camera, but I will try. So I'm just going to poke through the back. Right here, I've got my little knot in the back, and I'm going to give him an eyeball. Just use a little piece of orange. Put a little bead in there, and I'm just going to tie it off in the back, just so you can start seeing it taking shape. Apologize for the cat. She apparently has decided the craft table is her new hangout spot. Okay, so we've got one little eye there. Just gonna do the same thing with my other guy. Hello, cat. This is my cat, Misty. She's pretty precious. Hope you enjoy her hanging out with us today. We have recently purchased a new, or not purchased, we recently somehow got a new kitten. So Misty is trying to leave or escape from her for a little bit. And we're just gonna add our extra eye, or your second eye, in here. So same thing, I'm just poking in through the back. Try to get the middle. And then catch your eye. And you don't have to use a bead if you don't want to. You can just use another, like a black piece of felt to make the pupil. Completely up to you and what you have. However, sometimes the beads are too big to go through the needle head. There we go. Now he's starting to look kind of more owlish. Cool. Okay. So you kind of got the little owl shape going on. It's a little confused looking. But you can also get another little piece to make like a little nose and add that on there. I'm not gonna do that right now. Make a mouse for your cat. That is a good idea. I'll have to try that. But then after you finish this up, so let's say that I have sewn. I'm just going to draw it on here so you don't have to watch me sew for another 20 minutes. I'm a little slow at it. Okay. So let's pretend I have sewn all the way back around here. I'm going to leave just a little bit of a space right here. And I'm going to put a little bit of my fluff, if you want to, you don't have to, inside of it. Like this, so he's a little bit cuter. And then sew him up. So that's after kind of doing that. I would have finished my little wing as well before we close him up. And I'll just draw on those stitches. Give him a little nose or a little beak. There. So then once you've got all that done, you would put in a little bit of blush and then we would close it up. So this is making a little owl. So again, this is the simplest. This is just a front and a back, and then some stuff on the front. So I also have another one that's a little bit more difficult that I've been working on that I think you guys might enjoy. So this right here is my Loch Ness monster. So this would be a super, super easy one to do. The only thing that makes it a little bit more difficult is that instead of just having a front and a back, it also has a bottom right here. So I did the same thing as I did with the owl. I've kind of stitched all the right way around here, and you can see that I used some blue marker. I have that on the outside because when we're done, instead of this just being done like this, we're actually going to flip this one inside out. So I just want to kind of show you how you would do this part. So this one has the two pieces, and then it also has kind of like a little foot or a little bottom to it. So what I'm doing, instead of just doing that really basic stitch that we started with, that was called the running stitch, we are doing a blanket stitch. So I'm just going to put my needle on my thread and show you guys how to do that one really quick. And this can take a while sometimes. Be patient. If you have somebody who's super awesome at it. Sometimes it gets kind of frayed, so I just give it a little cut on the end. And sometimes you might have a little threader on you if you have like a little sewing kit. Those are super helpful. I do not have one on me, so I'm gonna have to just try to get this guy threaded. Now that I'm on video, it's taking a long time. Earlier, I just had it really quickly. So Emma and Crystal, are you guys going to make, what kind of monsters are you going to make, or creatures? Okay. So I'll try to do this so you guys can see it. So instead of just going in and out like I was doing, so instead of just doing this, I'm gonna knit, or not knit, so I knit a lot, go in, and then right, so you can kind of see this, as I pull it through, boom, 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 there's this little loop, and I'm gonna stick my needle through that little loop and pull. And so that makes the stitch look like this, instead of just straight lines going through. And I'll do a couple more of those just so you can see what it does really quick. Let's see if I can show you this again. So I'm going through just like I was doing that running stitch, but then there's that little loop that's formed, and I'm just going straight through it. Through like the running stitch and then grabbing the stitch. There we go. So now that I've got a couple of them, it'll be a little bit easier to see. Let me just get you one more in here. And this is just going to help hold everything together a little bit more. You guys kind of see the difference between these blanket stitches and then these running stitches. Okay. I'm almost done with the bottom of this guy. So I'm just kind of sewing along the bottom, doing my little blanket stitch. It does take a little bit of time, especially if you're not practiced. I used to make, when I was younger, I used to make little dinosaur hair clips kind of like this. So they were little, they were two-sided, kind of like the owls, but then I would, hello cat, come on Misty. I would put like a little hair clip in it, and then I'd have like a cute little hair clip. So there's a lot of other cool things you can make with this. Okay, so I'm getting kind of towards the end of this guy. Then I can show you how to flip him out and finish him up. I'm going maybe a bit faster than I would be. But I think he'll be kind of cool. Okay. So this guy is just about done. I've got a little bit of a hole right here for the stuffing. Oops. Kind of see there's still a little bit of hole, and we're going to need a little bit of that to be able to finish up what we're doing. My string fell off my needle. There we go. Do you guys have any ideas of what you want to make yet? I don't think I've seen any responses. I think making dinosaur shapes is kind of easy, so that's kind of why I went with the Loch Ness monster. It's an easy one to kind of freehand. If you find a pattern for something you want to make, but your printer doesn't work, you can kind of make sure you're not using a Sharpie or anything like that. Put a piece of paper up against your computer monitor, and then you can kind of use it as a to sketch. But make sure that your computer monitor can handle that. And don't use a Sharpie, because nobody wants Sharpie on their computer monitor. Okay, so he's just about done. And so I'm going to grab some of my stuffing, as well as something kind of long, because I need to flip him inside out. So I'm just going to kind of start flipping him out. And I want to try to get, if you've got like a little narrow head part like this, kind of get that pushed out first. So it is kind of awkward, but I think he'll be pretty cute at the end. Boop, boop, boop. Just flipping him inside out. Hi, sweet Misty. You can't be here. Kind of goes. The hardest part is going to be the head right here. So if you need like a pencil or something like that, you can use that to kind of get in there and push it out. I'm just looking for other things I can use. Okay. Well, a paintbrush. I'm just gonna kind of, the design flaw on my end. You can use your needle to kind of get a little bit of purchase. There we go. And pull them out. There we go. But we'll get them out eventually. Almost there. There he is. Okay, so we've got our cute little Loch Ness monster guy. So he's right side out now. So if we want to add some fill to him, we're just gonna go ahead and kind of push it in that little opening. Boop, boop. Okay, I think I'm just about done. Perfect. Okay, so now he's pretty adorable. He needs maybe a face. I think we'll give him a face. And then I'm just gonna finish up my stitches. So this part can be tricky. I'm just gonna find where I put that last little piece of string that I was working with. You could just kind of finish out your whip stitches to get him all done. But I think I'm going to use some beads to give little Nessie some eyeballs. You could also use some string. There, I think she'll be really cute like that. And you can sew some little eyes on there. You can also decorate your little creature, so you can, like maybe I could cut little triangles out of some felt and give them some scales, or you could cut out some little fins and give them some little fins to make them a little bit more exciting. So there's a couple ways to make some sort of fantastic creature using felt and some sewing supplies that are easily found around the house. I found like an old chest here from my great grandma, and I just pulled that open, and that's pretty much where I found most of my sewing supplies. So little Nessie guy, and then here's kind of the more two-dimensional, so it's just a front and a back kind of creature. So go ahead and make some cool creatures, and I'd love to see what kind of fun things you end up making with your fantastic, what did we call it? Sewing silly monsters. Okay, have fun. Flying dinosaur crystal, that sounds awesome. Or Emma and Crystal.